So wait a second. They're going to take the carbon dioxide out of the air and they're going to block the sun, and yet plants need carbon dioxide and sunlight in order to grow. Well, how are you supposed to grow food then? And that's the answer. You're not. You're not supposed to grow food. You're supposed to starve and die. That's what the globalists want. This is, listen carefully, this is a plan. These 11,000 scientists, what they're essentially calling for is a plan to shut down food crops all around the world by starving the plants of carbon dioxide and blocking the sun, shutting down photosynthesis. This, my friends, is a mass starvation agenda. War has been declared on humanity by the climate lunatics, these so-called scientists. 11,000 of them have reportedly signed on to a paper, a demand really, published in the journal Bioscience. It's called World Scientists Warning of a Climate Emergency. And essentially, they're calling for the mass extermination of the majority of the human population in order to, quote, save the planet from humans. Now, I'm going to go through some of the points of this incredibly alarmist paper and debunk them right here on the Alex Jones Show. It's not difficult to debunk them. They make enormous mistakes right from the start. First of all, they claim carbon dioxide is a poison, a pollutant that's destroying the climate. Carbon dioxide, of course, is the greening nutrient for all plants. And you need CO2 to grow food. You need CO2 to support food crops, rainforest, reforestation, grasses, herbs, everything. How do you even grow all the soybeans that the globalists want to grow so they can feed you fake meat soy burgers? How do you even grow that? Well, you got to have CO2. But they're at war with CO2. They say CO2 is bad, which means that there are 11,000 scientists who signed this paper who do not understand photosynthesis, which I learned in the 10th grade, by the way, in the 10th grade science class. Yeah, we learned about photosynthesis. Well, apparently today's scientists have forgotten all about it. But they are determined to kill you, to kill all of you. I mean, look, they're demanding that governments kill off billions of humans, essentially. Now, democide is the term that describes government mass death. And according to University of Hawaii research that was published a couple of years ago, governments have killed 262 million people in the last century and a half or so. I mean, that's 250 million people have been killed by governments. That's, the Nazis, it's Pol Pot, it's the communist revolution, it's the Stalinist purge, all these things. You put them all together, it's 250 million people. More, actually, 262 million. Well, today's climate science lunatics demand far more deaths than just 250 million. They want to eliminate 6 billion people. I mean, the Holocaust of World War II was 6 million people, right? That's the historical record. 6 million Jews marched into gas chambers and concentration camps and exterminated because of who they were. Well, now the climate scientists want to exterminate 1,000 times more people, 6 billion people, because of who you are, because they say it's bad to be human. They even mentioned that directly in the paper. They say humans are bad, essentially, and livestock are bad. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but this is what they say. They say, well, greenhouse emissions are rising. It's because there's too many people. And because there's so many people and so many livestock, they say, and people are riding on airplanes and producing too much CO2, they say, the planet's going to be destroyed if we don't do something. It's an emergency. It's going to be a catastrophe, they say. But again, who's riding in the planes the most? It's the globalists who are calling for climate change. It's the Hollywood celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio, claims to be so concerned about the planet while he's on his private jet producing 10 times the CO2, actually more like 100 times the CO2 of somebody on a regular commercial jet. It's Al Gore, who produces all just hot air from speaking. Never mind the CO2. That's what these people do. But these scientists say that that's bad. And they say they have to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Well, if you remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, how are plants supposed to grow? How are you going to grow the soy burger soybeans without CO2, right? And plus, on top of this, don't forget that Bill Gates is funding the ScopeX project, which aims to pollute the stratosphere with the help of Harvard scientists, probably some of the same lunatics who signed this paper. They want to pollute the skies and block the sun. So wait a second. They're going to take the carbon dioxide out of the air and they're going to block the sun. And yet plants need carbon dioxide and sunlight in order to grow. Well, how are you supposed to grow food then? And that's the answer. You're not. You're not supposed to grow food. You're supposed to starve and die. That's what the globalists want. This is, listen carefully, this is a plan. These 11,000 scientists, what they're essentially calling for is a plan to shut down food crops all around the world by starving the plants of carbon dioxide and blocking the sun, shutting down photosynthesis. This, my friends, is a mass starvation agenda to carry out starvation, famine, pestilence, disease, the collapse of human civilization in the name of saving the planet, and they demand you obey them. And they demand that you be censored, maybe even jailed, if you don't agree with their plan to collapse human civilization, because you might be a climate skeptic. Oh, and little Greta Thunderpants says that you shouldn't be allowed to speak on Facebook if you disagree with her, because censorship must now censor all opposing views. So if you believe that humanity should survive, if you think that carbon dioxide is good for plants, because it is the #1 nutrient for plants, if you think that photosynthesis is good for our planet, then you are bad and you are evil, say these 11,000 scientists, and you should be deplatformed. You should be shunned. In fact, it's going to get even worse. As Paul Joseph Watson wrote in a story today on Summit.News, in the UK, they are now denying healthcare services to individuals who they say are engaged in hate speech. That's right. If you're a racist or if you don't honor transgenderism, they're going to kick you out of the hospitals under the socialized medical system. They're going to say you don't even deserve to be kept alive anymore. Well, they're going to say the same thing. That's where this is going. They're going to say if you don't go along with the climate engineered collapse of human populations by these climate lunatic scientists, they're going to say, well, you're hateful against the planet, and we don't provide healthcare services to people who are hateful against the climate. So if you're a climate denier and you show up in an emergency room with a gunshot wound because an illegal alien broke into the country, broke into your house, and shot you and your dog, and you show up in the emergency room and you say, I don't believe your climate change lunacy, they're going to say, you're not welcome here. You go home. You're engaged in hate speech. You don't get emergency healthcare services. That's where it's going. Don't believe me? It's already begun in the UK. That's where this is going. And there are already lunatics out there, these climate change lunatics who say that you should be jailed if you disagree with them. And we're already living under mass censorship by the tech giants based on what they consider to be hate speech. And what is hate speech to the tech giants? Well, it's anything that they don't like to hear. So if you say, well, transgenderism is not natural, they say, well, that's hate speech, and you're deplatformed. And by the way, everyone who is opposed to GMOs should be opposed to transgenderism. You know why? Because I remember a day when the GMO activists used to say, well, we should protect Mother Nature and the seeds and the genetic code of the seeds and the sustainability of the plants and the integrity of the crops. It's Mother Nature, and we should protect that, right? Remember that? Those same people now saying, well, let's inundate the children with chemical castration drugs to alter their genetic expression and turn little boys into little girls. These are the same people. I thought you respected Mother Nature when you were fighting against GMOs. No, you weren't. You have no philosophy. You have no integrity. You have no ethics. These people are just so corrupt. They hate humanity. They hate life. They hate children being born as a male or a female and living out their life with the appropriate gender that they were born with, consistent with their biology. They hate that. They hate people being informed and aware. They hate people just being alive. Like this science paper says, how dare you exhale carbon dioxide? How dare you have an eco footprint? You don't even deserve the space to live. How dare you just respirate? That's what they seem to be arguing, that you're human, you're bad. You shouldn't exist on their planet, and they're going to get rid of you. And I've spoken about this at length, by the way, and I find it fascinating that for the last couple of years, as we've warned you about this genocide and this depopulation agenda, of course, we've been mocked by the lying fake news media, which said, that's a conspiracy. There's no depopulation agenda. Now, 11,000 scientists, depopulation is necessary, they say, to save the earth. Wow. Well, where's the apology to Alex Jones, right? Where's the apology to myself, Mike Adams? Because we warned about this. We knew that this was their true agenda. They really are trying to destroy humanity. And they really do think they're saving the planet, some of these people. Guess what? They're not even saving the planet. They're not. They're not. And I've spoken about this in other videos. What they're doing is eliminating humans for another purpose that has something way beyond just globalism, by the way. Maybe I'll talk about that in a future broadcast. But this is about exterminating humanity and eliminating human civilization from this planet without destroying the planet itself. That's what this really is. And climate change is just the excuse. So that's the bombshell from today. There's much more to come. Keep reading Infowars.com, naturalnews.com. Owen Schroyer is coming up next with live reports from D.C. on the Roger Stone trial. There's much more coming. This is just a packed news day. Everything is at stake right now. Don't go anywhere. Keep watching as Owen Schroyer takes over here on Infowars.com. Thanks for listening today. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. Talk to you again soon. Take care.
Now it's easier than ever to have band.video on your iPhone. Simply go to band.video with your Safari browser. Then you click the share button at the bottom of the screen. When the menu comes up, you simply click Add to Home Screen. It will then ask you to name the app. I suggest band.video. You will now have band.video app on your home screen, despite the fact that Tim Cook tried to stop it. The globalists think you're lazy, but by taking a little bit of action, you can override them, have the app, and then tell others about it so they can get the app. So it's up to you whether you want to defy big tech and click the share buttons below on your email, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, however you want. Be sure and share band.video.
Taking advantage of one of nature's most nutrient-dense ingredients, VasoBeat will be your new favorite InfoWars Life formula. Using only water and beetroot, VasoBeat is the most concentrated liquid extract of beet on the market. With concentrated beet extract, you can get the high levels of betaine, nitrates, and antioxidants you want to help support a healthy liver, athletic performance, blood vessels, and more. Don't overlook the power of beetroot. Get your naturally occurring potassium, folate, vitamin C, iron, selenium, zinc, vitamin K, and more. With one of nature's greatest treasures in VasoBeat from InfoWars Life today.